parents.com. In the queue with me tonight, I got True Armor. True, what's going on?
What's up?
Nothing, man. I like the backdrop going on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Always.
American flag. A lot of things happening today.
Yeah.
A lot of executive orders flying left, right. Um, I'll start off here by saying
There is
we
a
would
flip on the
love
flag.
for these executive orders to have a little bit of teeth behind them, because if not, it's a flip flop every 4 years.
Right. What do you mean a little bit of teeth behind them? I mean, you got to do it anyway, whether there's teeth
Well,
behind them or not.
a little bit of teeth meaning that Congress was signing on to it, and it wasn't like the executive branch just operating on their own, and
Right.
and Congress, the legislative branch, actually getting behind this to say, hey, we need to make a law.
Yeah, but they never do that. That never happens. They only ever. I mean, first of all, if Congress got behind stuff, you wouldn't need to have the president write these oh, the name of them just shot out of my head.
Executive orders.
Right, executive orders, because everybody's on board with it, right? Um, I don't know these. I don't know how well these executive orders are gonna play out. I really don't. Every 4 years, the next guy changes them, and it's like they didn't happen. So, and he's doing about things that are consequential that we black folks have been worried about and complaining about and marching about and protesting about for about 300 years, right? So you finally get around to it with not even with the full consent of the Congress, but you get around to it by some, excuse my language, but half-ass roundabout uh, kind of way to address it. And like I said, the next president will just kind of go, yeah, we don't care that like all the banks are robbed in X, Y, and Z, or all the cops are aggressive with X, Y, or Z, or any of the rest of it. And then there'll be more marching maybe for another 100 years, and then maybe another president will come through and make more executive orders, and that'll assuage the pain for no amount of time, quite frankly. But they'll sit there and pat themselves on the head about how the American people are better off, with their party, their party, or their candidate, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be marching about the same thing that your grandparents, if they marched about, and their grandparents, if they, marched about. So, yeah, I'm not madly in love with Biden's. I mean, first of all, I'm not in love with these executive orders in the first place, and I'm definitely not in love with how Biden is using them, because you might as well have just said, uh, don't frack, and then the next president can go, yeah, you can frack, and then the next president says don't frack. This is more substantial. When you pull what is up with my memory? These executive orders, when the next guy goes, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. I mean, you might as well be saying, yeah, we're gonna bring back in segregation, right? So we're gonna see, because good laws, good policy should be made law, right? And if you have good policy that you keep away from the people, it just says that the laws are bad and the politicians are bad. And those of us who've been marching are not marching anymore. We're exhausted with it. So we'll see what happens.
So here's I won't say a rebuttal to what you were
Okay.
saying. I will say it may sound flimsy, but he's laying a framework for a conversation to be had. And
Enough conversations. It's been on for
well,
200 years. Conversation.
hold on.
Right.
He's laying a framework for a conversation to be had.
Okay.
Now, hopefully, there's legislation that comes out of this. Now, what we've noticed over the last 10 years, maybe longer, 12 years, maybe even before that, that Congress hasn't been able to get their act together.
Congress hasn't ever had their act together. I'm listening. I'm opening up a window.
All right, but at some point, you wouldn't need executive orders if you could lay down the groundwork
Yeah, if you could convince people
for these
of your
executive orders
argument,
to be law.
right? If you could convince people of your argument as a politician, you wouldn't need these things. But none of these people are good politicians. I mean, I think they're good at getting elected and reelected and then reelected. But as for getting there and doing anything that the average man or woman wants done to make their lives or their day-to-day existence, not just to get through it, but to go through it with a smile and kind of like a sense of oh, today was good, better than yesterday. Oh, tomorrow's going to be good, better than today. That kind of energy is gone. Only thing American politicians give you is who your next enemy is. And when they're not outside the borders, they're inside the borders. And their whole thing is, oh, if I'm not here, the whole place, the liberals will be making sure that everybody gets a puppy, whether you want one or not. And then the other team says, if I'm not here, then the conservatives will reinstitute slavery for everybody, not just the black people. So it gets goofy and stupid and ridiculous. And it ends up like that, what I'm calling just a riot. Other people are calling it an insurgency. Maybe it's a bit between both of those. But they've been brewing it and cooking it for a long time. And it finally boiled over on the stove, right? Your fellow American is your enemy is essentially what they've been playing at to get elected. And now, enough people have been told that over the 3 or 4 generations that you can sit here and go, my dad told me the liberals were all X, Y, or Z, and his dad told him that, and his dad told him that, right? So then you've got a chain of families pushing, let's just call it a lie, pushing a comfortable lie that makes them feel, one, superior to a group of people, right? And everybody likes to feel superior and right. And two, it's sort of become like a communal affair, right? Like, I hate to say it, but like these lynchings used to be, where the whole town will come out, over a bad, you've made a bad thing desirable to people who don't have a lot, or to people who are not, I don't want to say as intelligent, but who, let's say, who aren't as adept at figuring out that this is a con, or any of the other of it. Now what you have here is this new philosophy that or maybe it's not a new philosophy, but
all right,
we standing up this same philosophy, and it's always the same thing of we X group are against that group, whether it's the whites against the blacks, the rich against the poor, da 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 da. And here we are. And now those people have been told everybody's a pedophile, communist, socialist, X, only from like the Fox News outlet in their town, and there's no one around them for 300 miles in some of these, I was about to call it a food desert, but it's like a food desert. It's just an information desert for the conservatives, right? And here we are. Now you got people storming the castle. 1 minute they're like, thank you for your service. The next minute they're like, I'm going to hang you from the trees.
Okay. So I want to get into the 4 executive orders.
Okay.
First one, mitigate racist bias in housing and advance fair housing laws.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, should I applaud now or show why I think that's going to work? Or, I don't know what my response to this should be. Because as someone who pays attention to this, who was born to pay attention to it, I just sort of roll my eyes, right? To me, that's the dude in the romance novel that is like, baby, I can change, right? So when the girl goes back to him, you hear all the other women go, oh, girl, he's a dirty dog. You go, in this romance movie, this guy's a guy that you need to get away from. before whoever the love interest is shows up, right? But whoever it is, this guy is just, even though you may not know who the next, you know, uh, love interest in the movie is, it's not this guy. So in this scenario, I mean, all the stuff that he's putting out that we should have faith in, I'd rather see someone else pull this off because he's got a 50-year record of not being about it. And now
Well,
he's surrounded by career politicians with brown faces, and I don't think they're about it either.
well,
So
okay. I mean,
now you
that's,
got to
that's
win me
valid.
over.
That's valid that you don't think that they're about it. I think they wouldn't be about it if they campaigned on it, and when it was time for them to show and prove, they didn't. But here it is, 6 days in, and we've seen a slew of executive orders, probably upwards of
Yeah,
40, a 40
yeah,
amount.
yeah. He's got a slew of executive orders. Where's that water? He's got a slew of executive orders,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm likely thinking that's because he doesn't have a cabinet, right? Nobody got confirmed.
Well, the cabinet is being confirmed one by one.
I
This
know,
is
but
just
normally,
something.
I know, but
These executive orders are
I know,
being just
I
reversed
know, but
based
his
off of the previous president.
right. Well, yeah, that's done too. I mean, Trump went in there and reversed some of Obama's stuff, and Obama went in there and reversed some of George Bush's stuff. That's just par for the course with executive orders, which is another reason why I don't like them. Like I said, the next president would just come and wipe them off the table like they didn't
Right,
exist.
but you got
You
4
can't use
years.
that.
Well, you got 2 years. You got 2 years because the clock is ticking. Yeah, you got 2 years
Yeah,
before
but
the next election.
it. Yeah, but it doesn't matter how many years you got. Good policy should not be wiped away because the last president didn't like it. And it also lends itself to this idea that, you know, you just wait the president out, which is what North Korea did, right? Before they started retesting their nuclear arms. They were quiet until, I want to say about 20 days ago. And so was Iran. They were quiet till about 20 days ago before they started talking about we're enriching stuff, because they knew that for whatever you thought about Donald Trump, he was not fucking with them. Excuse my language, right? Now they're back to the same old games because they know the timber of Joe Biden and these career politicians who say pretty things, who aren't going to do anything. I mean,
So how would you go about making a law if you don't have the executive order to start off with? How would you go about it? And hold on, you're in a climate that there's an
this has been the
impeachment.
climate forever. These people are incompetent. That's the climate.
The climate right now is a former president is about to get, well, he was already impeached. Now the trial is about to happen. So how do you expect anything to go on?
Well, first of all, this impeachment trial is ridiculous.
You got to answer the question.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Give me the question one more time. How is
you don't like the executive order,
right?
Okay. Mm-hmm. You don't like that. You said there's no teeth to it. There's nothing.
Right.
I slightly disagree, and I say, hey, it's a start, and it gives a framework so that these two bodies can get together and try to make it a law or agree to disagree on certain parts of it, but somehow it becomes some type of bipartisan law. You were kind of totally against it. You said, it doesn't have any feet to stand on it. So I challenge you, how would you go about in this climate making this a law?
Well, here's the thing. I think I addressed this before. Here's my thing. It's only an executive order because nobody wants to go near it, and the president gets to have his say, right? It's one of the two things where the president gets to be a king. Nobody can push his executive orders. They can't just kind of go without doing that, right? Just like his pardons, no one can overturn his pardons or sue him for any of that. It's his power alone, uncontested, like these executive orders, right? His power is alone, uncontested. Having said that, the reason they do it is because if someone came around and said, all like I said, all kids love ice cream and puppies, right? You don't need to make a law about that, right? The Congress and the Senate could make a law saying, yep, kids like puppies. This is something that we all agree is fact. No one's you don't need an executive order for something like that. You need an executive order if someone, let's say, is allergic, right? So now you have half the Congress love animals, half the Congress is allergic. Whichever party is which. So when you go, hey, I think we should, you know, put a kitten or a puppy on our flag, and all the allergic people go, no, they make me sneeze. I don't even want to see them. So now what you get when it's that kind of split, and both people, I mean, one party wants something and one party does it, is these executive orders where the president gets to do what he wants. It's not really to solve something so much as it is to give the winner of the election, the president of the United States, uh, his get. He should get it, right? He won. He should get the people in his cabinet that he wants, and some of these things that aren't crazy, he should be able to make the government do. So yeah, you can, as the head of the country and the army and some of these police departments, the head of the post office, you can say, you know, I don't want you to come in a federal building without a mask as the president. You will enforce this law, and everybody down the line goes, okay, well, the president said this. I'm clerk of the post office, or I'm a guard at the Social Security office, or I'm whatever. Anything under those stars and bars, and the president of the United States gets what he wants. As soon as January 20th comes in, 2024 or 2021, as it just was, 2025 rather, it'll be. The next guy can come in and go, you know what, those mask rules were ridiculous. We don't need them in the post office. And just like that, no laws, no anything, no nothing, it goes away. But if everybody wanted you to wear masks in Congress, Republicans and Democrats, you wouldn't need an executive order. They would just kind of go, this law passed with 58% or 75% or 100 senators to nothing, right? And you only get into this problem with executive orders because, quite frankly, the orders that they laid out, they can't get passed, and that's why. That's something.
Do we need a law? Do we need a law that says that helps us mitigate racial bias in housing and advance
No, we don't.
fair housing laws?
No, we don't. No, we don't. We have enough laws on the books for all this stuff. What we need, seriously, I just had this conversation. I always have this conversation with my white liberal friends. What we need is will. No one has the will to enforce this. So this is, I should examine what I'm talking about. The police will shoot somebody dead. No gun, no criminal record, no criminal history. And they say the same thing they say every time the community gets excised and hot about it. Well, we're going to look at our training, and you know, what the hell does your training have to do with you killing somebody? Were you going to train somebody not to? I mean, it's always kick the can down the road, and now you've kicked the can down the road so much and for so long that you're out of clock and you're out of road. So yeah, I think that is essentially it in a nutshell.
Okay, number two, in use in private prisons.
Yeah, you should in private prisons because we all know that people have been cooking the books on innocent people and sending them to jail. Now, especially in this country, now you're just giving people more of an incentive to essentially sell people down the river. That old slave expression of selling people down the river, which they made a movie about. 12 Years a Slave, right? The guy was kidnapped from Connecticut and shipped to Georgia, where he was a slave for 12 years. That phrase goes to like all this unfair software in the 70s and nowadays, because you call cops doing it now, planting evidence, right? One guy, did they catch him planting a gun? I know they caught that guy planting drugs on a guy that they searched, and his video cam, his body cam picked it up. But I want to say that there was one where a guy planted a gun. I really do. But anyway, the idea that you have private prisons where people can just, oh, don't worry, I can guarantee I can fill up your prison, is a sinister proposition. You know what I'm saying? And no one buys, no one. I can't say no one, but daily people buy less and less your racial rationale for what is going on here, and people know that it's more and more. Uh, Racism as economics, where I can keep my prison, my for-profit prison open and full and make cake. And when every time somebody sues or goes crazy, I can then, tell you how crime's going to get out of control if you don't let me, have these private prisons. Yeah, private prisons it shouldn't exist. It should not exist.
Hey, I want to give two shout outs to Peter Bittner from the Haps team and Randy Horton. Randy, you always have a good video live stream that's always happening. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Put Randy up there. Um, so the next one is establish federal respect for tribal sovereignty and strengthen relationships with native tribes.
I don't even know what to say about that. Look, my whole position is this: America should have no special classes, with the exception of three. Right, three. Uh, Black people who are not immigrants. I hate that you call everybody in this country an immigrant. Um, the indigenous, what I was raised to call the American Indian, which I still think is a bold and badass name, even though they're not Indians. Um, right. I get they were here, totally displaced, killed off 98% of the American Indian, um, and a handful of Chinese people who came over here under lies to build the railroad, right? And were treated like trash. And then after the railroad was built, was then subjected to what the blacks and the American Indian were uh, not associated with, but were uh, they essentially they were put on the same box. So you need, if for America to clear its head, it needs to do right by those three groups. Everyone else who has all these not secret, but these organizations where they collect money just for them, they miss the point of what America is. They essentially came here and set up, quite frankly, a fifth column for, and you see it all the time with Europe. Europe acts like America is like their backyard. They can all come here and start a whole new life if they want to. Nobody asks them to. It's like, they really do think that this place is a European, um, I don't want to say European adjacent, but and I don't think so. I think the new world is the new world, right? We should want different things and seek different things, but the people who came here has so tied us to a place and their habits. And European habits is about segregation and racial hatred. Let's remember, the Irish were blowing each other up like 25 years ago. I grew up with the Irish Republican Army blowing up, and I could not get this as a black kid who was a Catholic. I was not Catholic, who was a Christian. I was like, why are the Catholics and the Protestants blowing each other up? It made me look into all these different like bread slices off the loaf of what Christianity is. And they looked exactly the same. They were white, they were Irish, and they were killing each other. And I was just kind of like, right? It's this idea that well, I don't know if it's the idea, but Europe has a long history of nothing but perpetual wars, and then meeting other people and going, we're more refined and more, you know, more close to God, and that's still America has a lot of that, and all the people who run here um, usually push that message, right? So yeah, I think in those two arguments, the schools, the private prisons shouldn't be a thing that happens in America, and quite frankly, America needs to really fix its history. And by doing that, you should stop allowing other people to come here and act like they're a small minority who were treated badly when they weren't. They came to America to be in America, right? And versus they came to America to displace Americans or any of this other stuff, and fix it. Because at this point, it's not just African Americans or any other group, but just there are white people who've been in this country just as long as my family, and my family goes back, and they got nothing because the way the place works is really strange. I mean, anybody can come in with a pocket full of money and start getting involved with politics and at any level. It really is bizarre. I don't see how the country stays solvent, and I think it's beginning to break. Really, just because people feel like they've worked hard and they put the energy and time in, and you can't get off the bottom, right? So we'll see.
Hey, we're gonna do something, and if you feel comfortable with it,
Oh yeah.
we got Randy
What's up,
Horton who would
Randy?
like to join.
Yeah, yeah. Get on in here.
Okay.
So I think America is at a turning point. It will either fix itself or it will become Russia. Not Russia, China, where everybody thinks they're free until you say something wrong, then the government comes and picks you up.
Randy, come on in. Come on in and join us. Waiting for Randy to join. And while we wait for Randy to join, question um, in regards to the fourth executive order today: mitigate
What?
xenophobia against Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders. That's all. A lot of that.
Wait, what am I missing with this, the new? I'm sorry, New Zealanders. What you say?
No,
Wow.
mitigate xenophobia against Asian American and Pacific Islanders. So the whole,
What?
we
Who's
spent.
bothering Pacific Islanders in America?
But wait, hold on 1 second. We
Okay.
spent how much time? Hold on, hey Randy, Randy.
How you doing, Randy?
Thanks for joining
I'm
us.
doing good.
I just want to say this much. For the past 10 months, we had our former leader reference use all different types of referencing to Wuhan, the flu, and this and all this other stuff. We all know the ugliness that was used. And what did we notice? Because I one of my good friends who's Asian had to experience every different type of racism as he was going home on the train or the bus,
Welcome to
taking
my
the
world.
coronavirus back with you, all of that type of craziness. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people, that
All
believe
right, hold
that
on.
and still push that poison out there.
Right.
So I think today's executive order was apropos because there's a lot of cleaning up we got to do. We got a lot of cleaning up we have to do with our language. But before let's table that.
Right.
Randy had a take on racial bias.
similar to this. I would like to, first of all, hey, my name's Randy Horton. What's up, True? What's up, Ted? How's it going?
What's up, Randy?
I'm
How's
sitting
everything?
in Cebu, Philippines right now. So my time is, what are we at, 9:15 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I'm mostly originally from Hendersonville, Tennessee, but I live in Saudi Arabia and I keep a home in the Philippines. So I'm kind of vastly around the planet, you know?
You're intercontinental.
This is
Yeah,
great.
when we were talking earlier, you know, you were dancing in the realm of Europe and you were dancing with slavery and things of this nature. And, you know, I've been traveling around the world over 100 countries, and I'm always thinking about things like this. And I was trying to put something in perspective that made sense to me. And what I seen is we saw the UK start to, the peasants become unstable for their taxation without representation. They moved into the Americas. And then the Americas started to form, and the one percenters that were actually part of the UK came into America in the South and they started the slavery. And then as they opened up their different areas of slavery and getting all their slaves in, I think they had another meeting and they said, we're going to do something that's very unique. We're going to release all of the slaves. And the reason we're going to do it is so we can enslave everyone all at once. Currently, as a black slave back then, you were given free housing, free food, and free clothes. So those were expenses to the plantation owners. And when they all sat down and thought about it, they thought, you know what? Let's enslave everyone. So what they did is they released you and they entrapped everyone else into the same bubble as our somewhat tied to the capitalistic idea, where now they still use us all at low wages, barely enough to get a house, barely enough to get your food, barely enough to take care of your children, except for when business is slow, they don't have to pay that anymore. So I think they just actually released and engulfed everyone else to begin with. And this is something that's been running in my mind that, wait a minute, what was done is putting us out of focus. People are missing the point. We've all been enslaved now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
What are
would agree
your
with
thoughts
that.
on that reasoning I'm having?
I agree with that. I think I have this idea in my head that this is what the society does. First of all, you let dirty tricksters run, right? And dirty tricksters and con men. And once they run, they don't go and keep working the failed con. They refine their con, right? So over all these years, there are some things that are just rigged AF, and the stock market is one of them. So it's like buying a stock. So if the first people to buy a hot stock, Amazon, everybody knows it was great when it was coming. When it went on the market, you or I, regular Joes, we're never going to get Amazon. All the giant stocks were bought up by the guys with money who knew people in Wall Street. Would you attest to this, Ted? Any big stock, right? Any large stock. The big wigs get them first. They get the bite of the apple
before it's even available to the regular person.
Yeah, it's sort of like stocks are sort of like concert tickets, right? So this is what they've done, and my thing is they perfected all these mean bad things against the society on the black community, and then they go, "Ooh, let's export this to everybody." And imagine how much money you can make when you've got, XYZ amount of tricks running, right? I mean, America is now a place where people aren't even having children, right? The birth rates drop. But people are still getting married. Like, people are...
Stop.
Hopeful.
You said people are still getting married?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why the hell is the divorce rate at 50%?
Thank you. I think people are, I don't want to say stupid. I think people are, what I just said, excuse me. People are hopeful, right? I mean, people are, even you will look at that stat and you will still get married. Aren't you hopeful? Are you stupid? What is it? I mean, but it's whatever it is, it's not logical. It's not reasonable. Hope is a nice, philosophy, but actually it's not even a philosophy. Hope is a nice attitude adjustment to have in your life, but it's not a philosophy. And I think that's what it is. I think they put all these weird things on the working family, and now like your grandpa could work and your grandmom could stay home and he could buy a house and like 2 cars. That was the thing back then, right? That's impossible now, right? And 10 years ago, you needed 2 people to have that middle class life. Your wife had to work. Now, that was 10 years ago. Now, 2 people will still have you struggling to get like, a house and a car and like, I mean, that was my mom and my dad, me, and 2 brothers, 2 sisters. There was 5 of us. Now people can't. I mean, that kind of family is considered big. So everything has adjusted to small because you can only afford small. While you smile about it like it was always your plan. You know what I mean? When in actuality, what they've done was they've shrank your field. And then they gaslit you that this is what you wanted. It's like wearing a suit 3 sizes too small. And when people go, "What are you wearing?" You go, "This is how I want it to fit. This is the latest fashion." You don't go, "Yeah, man, this guy told me this suit is he's a con man and a shiesty, and I shouldn't have bought it. I got taken. I won't do that again." Instead, you do it again.
I totally agree with the context, the way you're speaking. Everybody, I think I'm 57 years old. I don't know how old you are, but I believe you grew up when mom stayed at home to keep track of our butts. And if we did wrong, dad came home from work and wore our butts out. And that's the way the family stayed kind of stable.
Yep.
That is true. That is true. I would like either of you to provide your take on I guess the last executive order today was in regards to Asian Americans, in regards to xenophobia, in regards to,
Okay, this is news to me. I did not know that the Asian American community had a xenophobia issue.
You're gonna tell me the whole coronavirus and
Well, I know they've been taken on the chin because of corona, but
that's one piece of it. But when you have someone who has a bully pulpit and who's up there, who used to be up there every other day talking about, the China virus, the this, the that, the this, the this,
the Wuhan flu.
Yeah, saying all of that craziness.
That's not crazy. I don't understand.
I don't know.
It came from Wuhan, right? Now we have this British.
But wait, hold on.
Anything else but the
hold on.
And this African
hold
variant.
on.
This Brazilian variant, and people are calling it the Brazilian variant. No one is losing their Hassenpfeffer.
Right. But you can't call it. But hold on. You got
with the MERS, Middle East respiratory. Nobody from Middle East said that's a racist thing.
Right, exactly. And then they guilt you into these corners. Yeah, and I'm very worried about how you want to push me into a thinking corner. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. And then the media made it like this lit thing to go against like their political interests. But it was. I mean, we had this conversation. It just seemed weird to me, and every time I hear it, I push back on it. Because now
you gotta push back on it.
With no
the
pushback.
Problem is you got a bunch of people. Wait, we can't talk together. You're gonna talk. You talk.
We can all sing together. We can't all talk together. I feel you. Go ahead.
No, it's just I'm not gonna talk over you.
No, I feel you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. The only thing I'm gonna say is call it people being sensitive. Call it whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But people were being put in harm's way. Because when you consider the type of language and the tone that was used,
right,
people are being put out there because you do have a bunch of ignorant people, a certain population that turns around and says, okay, I'm going to see someone who doesn't look like me, who might be Philippine, who might be Asian, and hey, now I'm going to spew some venom at you.
All right, now I got you. Can I give you some blowback on that?
Before you continue, I got one statement that I'll leave it alone. I think it's time for a bunch of pansies to suck it up. Quit being offended by everything. Jeez Louise. Chill out. Everybody don't have to be so offended. A bunch of pussies in the world today. Okay, I'm done.
Here's my thing. It's a very subtle way of controlling your language, right? No one cared how anybody else felt. Right? If you listen to rap music, they say some of the harsher stuff, and no one goes, I really think that people should not be calling people the N-word, right? A lot of people died with that word in their ear, and for you to be just throwing it around, no one cares. All these giant executives who, in my opinion, are likely not from the community are making hundreds of billions of dollars off the hip-hop industry. Music and sneakers and clothing and like they sell you cool. So, having like, I mean, people, I mean, especially in America here, if you say it, you should be able to defend it. Whether that means throw your hands up because I'm about to knock you out for saying what you just said about me or my mom or my daughter or my wife, right? Or if you can stand up in court and go, you know, point A, B, and C is why I said X, right? Defend your position. A lot of these guys that you go, well, you know, he beat up Asian people because of the Wuhan flu. First of all, no one in their right mind is for that guy, right? And just because that guy did that, there'll be people now who will come in and use that as an opportunity to push you in a corner that they want you pushed in. You feel that?
Oh no, I feel you.
I call it the Wuhan flu because it came from Wuhan, China. You now calling me a racist, because I won't not say that. It's ridiculous, right? It's
I agree.
I was totally absurd. I was talking to somebody and we were talking about what racism is. And I was like, for you to run around and call everybody racist, like the guy who got into a fight with you and used the N-word, and it's a fight, by the way. I expect you to use the N-word, right? Because it's a fight. You're not supposed to call me cupcake, something. You know what I'm saying? So, but by the time the cops come and the lawyers get involved, it becomes this thing like he's the 1920s Klan with a rope and a shotgun. He's going to murder you off. What I mean, people use these opportunities, and you don't want to be the excuse that someone uses to, you know, to exact their revenge on somebody else, or to use you to step, what do you call it, step toe into like something. Oh, so you still use the Wuhan virus? You must hate Asians. Look at how
that's so true.
Magnanimous and great I am that I stood up for, you know. And I'm like, man, no, just stop. I'm very familiar with manipulation, and when people try to they can't win me over to an argument. They try and put me in a box. I'm always hip to that trick. So, like, one, I didn't know that the Asian community, other than that whole Wuhan thing, right? Mm-hmm. I know that but those are idiots. People, you know, they should. There was a couple of fights, right? Jumping people, grab those idiots and throw them in jail. Having said that, that does not mean that the question of why we can't, and I think we should really have this conversation because, like I just said, we're doing it for Brazil. There's the Brazil virus, right? And the British virus, there's one, and that one's supposed to be the strongest, deadliest, 40% more deadly than the regular corona. How come the British people aren't losing their cake over it, right? Because when it came out, you could say Donald Trump is a rape because you needed to paint Donald Trump in all these negative ways. And, you know, I mean, it's the media will manipulate you if you are not careful.
So, but, hey, yeah. I just want to jump in here. A big shout out to Banner Man. And don't you won the competition, Banner Man, last Saturday night for what it's worth. And we love Vince, but you won it. Just go through here really quick.
Okay, we may need a little background on that. He won last week. What happened last week?
There was a dance off. There was a dance off. Yeah, I'll send you the recording. Debbie, thank you for chiming in. Yannick, thank you for chiming in. George or Jorge. I'm not sure how you pronounce your name, but I want to make sure I get it right. From Santiago, hello. Um, Speed up to hello. How you doing?
Space Gal says China destroyed patient zero's blood samples. Why is this how you found the cure? Well, China is just. First of all, no
Hold
one
on,
should be
hold
dealing
on,
with China.
hold on. Camry Ree, how you doing? We just want to acknowledge you. Thank you for stopping in here. I know you guys are in here for who you really want to see. That's Randy Horton.
Yeah, sexy beast.
But what were you going to say? What were you going to
I
say
came
about
in here now because now that I've met True, I actually think that I may have to follow him more than you. I apologize. He's
Oh,
really, Oh, True's got it down. True Armor.
yes,
Thank you. It's
yes.
about time I found a real man in this broadcast.
I don't know
Mm.
how real a man I am.
I'm only playing.
Oh
I'm
my
throwing it
goodness.
harsh. I'm just throwing it harsh.
It's all good. That's all good.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, so tell us, Randy. What was the deciding factor for you to move abroad?
Yeah.
I was living in Los Angeles, just kind of bored, living working my butt off, paying everything with millions of other people trying to make a living. One day I was at a 7-Eleven and I looked down and there was a magazine right on the counter. And it said 200 companies around the world, their CEOs and their address. And it came to me, I'm going to buy that book, take it home, and send everybody in there a letter and a resume. I
Nice.
sent everybody there a handwritten letter and a resume. And 9 days later, somebody called me up and said, "Hey, come on over to Saudi and work." And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." It wasn't a lot of thought. It wasn't a lot of planning. It just one day I wanted to change and it happened. I made it happen.
That's good. Sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need not to think too long about stuff, but you got to know when those opportunities come. And it sounds like you were ready for something like that to happen.
Yeah, it was just weird. I'd never even heard nothing about no Saudi Arabia. I didn't know what was going on. The
Mhm.
first person I called, I said, "Let's go." Even the recruiter argued, "You don't want to argue more?" I said, "No, send me the ticket. Let's get this over with. Let's get it started."
Yeah, pretty
That's
good.
just it. And you've got this thing about the Asian American. I got like 10 Asian Americans in the house. We can turn the camera around. They can all tell you about the Chinese virus.
Right, right. That's another right. The Chinese virus. Yeah,
Listen,
that whole thing was weird because
I got friends
the media
here.
was taking the side of everybody but the president of the United States. It was wild to see how how the media, American media, did not like Donald Trump, and he put his foot in it a lot. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm not trying to die.
Oh, he has no talent defending himself.
Not trying to
He's
die on this hill, but he wasn't wrong about everything. And the idea that we're going back into business with the World Health Organization, who China takes this money that it gets from us and buys its way into all these smaller countries. And now China's a threat because everybody owes them, including us. So, I mean, why are we this close to our enemy is the question, because people are greedy and they had no foreplan and they just took the money then, and it was the 80s, they took money then, and then it was the 90s, and they took money then, and then it was the 2000s. I mean, they completely sold us out for cash. And now here we are with China talking smoke and like they own Biden. Do you see that interview?
No, I didn't see it. But I got a follow-up question.
Okay, let me just tell you this. There's a Chinese first of all, everybody big over there is in the Communist Party. So there's a Chinese economics professor who's given a speech at a university there, and he was talking about what a Biden election means for China, and people were snickering in the crowd like like he was like, "Yeah, well, we got him." I mean, Biden's not gonna be a problem. People were like, "Oh yeah, we got him." Yeah, and I was sitting here going, "How are they this comfortable saying this in a stadium that's being recorded? How are they this comfortable?" It's gonna be an interesting world in the next 20 years. It really is, with the warming, and I think there's going to be some water issues and some not so
Well,
much food shortages,
the,
but
the,
like
the
the
one
food
thing
is
I get
trash.
concerned about, is ensuring that the jobs stay here because I
Well,
hate to say
here's
it.
the problem with the
I,
job
I,
thing.
I,
Yeah,
I hate to say it. Our previous leader in chief had it right about ensuring that the jobs were in the
yeah,
U.S.
yeah. But how are you going to do that? Our standard of living, you'd have to pay everybody seriously, right? Um, how are you going to do it? I mean, corporations, the schools are this. Come on, man. You got to
Well,
fix the
everything is
schools.
offshored.
I
Everything
mean, they
is
they dumb
outsourced.
down the people to be able to do this. I mean, outsource. I don't know. In this age of technology, I don't know how much more you can outsource stuff other than T-shirts, right? The average American doesn't want their information in these data banks across the world. People in England, I think I saw, are about to sue Amazon because Amazon is it Google?
Did
Anyway,
you know that there's two freedom of speech websites that are being launched from Russia? Can you believe it?
I
Our
can't
new
believe it.
freedom websites will be launched from Russia,
I can't
where you
believe
have
it.
freedom to speak. They'll be out soon.
I can't believe it.
So
I mean,
what's
I'm
that?
well,
watching
here's the
it on
thing.
That's
TV.
not
Here's,
American government.
I tell people
I'm
this all
watching
the
the
time. Just
pushback
because
on TV.
look, I just tell people this all the time. Just because your enemy says it about you doesn't mean it's not true, right? Your enemy would love to embarrass you with the truth. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they would launch a freedom of speech like site or website in Russia, as long as you don't talk about us, right? Talk about the Americans and what they actually did or did not do, but just don't point the cameras here at us Russians. The freedom of speech is about them. So, we'll see how free it is when somebody goes Vladimir Putin is secretly dressed as like, a Little Red Riding Hood or something. See if they disappear in the weekend, then we'll know how true their freedom of speech is.
Oh, Putin got your name now, Drew. You better be
So,
prepared.
you know what I'm saying?
Don't you be going to Russia on no holiday.
I mean, it ain't no thing to say the truth about me. I'm a nobody here in Virginia, but it's a
That's
totally
what the
different thing to
last
say the
dead
truth
guy
about
said. I'm not
Right.
nobody.
a leader, the leader of some place. Then truth gets you into all sorts of trouble.
So, Randy, I got a question. What's the rollout plan in Saudi Arabia for the vaccine?
Everybody's already getting it. Most people got it. You can get it. You register right away and you get it. Everybody's getting it. There's no problem. They've had it for a couple of months. The rest of
Wow.
the world's slacking.
So when you go to United States or American websites, as I'm sure you still do, and you hear about the bottleneck and everything else that is happening. What are some of your thoughts?
Man, I got to tell you something. I'm a little weird. I turned off my TV 5 years ago. I don't care what's going on in America. I'm worried about what's going on in my house. I'm worried why
Right.
my daughter come home late tonight and where's my son going tomorrow. I'm
Right.
not really worried about any of these things that don't bother me.
Got it.
Everybody wants to get concerned in all the business of the world when you can't even keep your neighbor's dog from shitting in your front yard. I think it's time people move themselves back to their house a little bit.
I'm with you.
I would disagree with that. I would. I
You
would
disagree? All right. There's no problem.
Yeah, I
You
think. I think if I have a very primal view of the world, and that is, I essentially look at everybody as tribes walking across the landscape, right? So, I mean, you want to look after yourself and your neighbor, and when you're off on the hunt with the rest of the men, which whether that be now we call it work, or you might be a war, you might be wherever you are, away from like your women, your children. You want the men who are there in that environment, your neighbors, to respect them, and God forbid something happens, to look out for them. And then when
One
you show
second,
up,
I
you go,
hate
oh
to
my
be
God, what
rude.
happened?
I've
Go
got
ahead.
to run up. I got a building project going on at another house. and my wife is
Okay.
giving me the evil eye. And if I don't
All
turn
right.
this off, it's not going to be a good day.
All right. Well,
Take
see,
care,
there you
brother.
go.
Thank you. Good to
Thank
meet
you.
both of you. Sorry.
All right, thank
Peace.
you.
So he just proved my point. He had to go home and take care of his you know what I'm saying? Uh,
Well, I mean,
and
the
if he
key
can't do
is
that, you want someone else to.
the,
But
the key
if
is you
you're
have to be at.
only me and mine,
No, go ahead.
if the point is you only care about me and mine, then no one else will care about you and yours, right? And that's not how you have a society.
Well, I'm not going to
It
say.
really.
I don't know, but I'm going to say this much. You have to care
Yeah.
about what's yours. You have to care
Well,
about
well,
what
yeah.
you can, what you have access to, what you can control,
Right.
what you're responsible for. You can also, at the
But
same time, care about others and everything outside of your home. But I think, truthfully, with you being head of household, if you don't have the household taken care of, how can you even
yeah,
open your mouth
but
about anything
okay,
else?
okay. I see. I think my point is deeper. My point is foundational, right? You can't have that nice household in a shitty neighborhood because no one gives a fuck. You can have that nice household in a neighbor where your neighbor has a nice household. You build a web of this is our community. It's not just I live here. Go fuck yourself. Excuse my language. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I
I
hear you.
had worked in places where people tried really hard to maintain a sense of something nice, normal, and beautiful in a crappy environment. I used to work in the projects where people would just disrespect the stairwells, right? That wasn't everybody. That was some people, where people would stop going out by 5 because the neighborhood became like horrendous. That wasn't everybody. That was some people. Whereas in other places, it's nicer and you know your neighbors and the kids playing the street, and that's sort of what you want. I mean, nobody's gonna say you're gonna get along with everybody. And I've also been in neighborhoods where the houses are big and nobody knows each other. The cars drive up, the guy goes into the house, the lights come on, then
I
the lights
I
go off
have
at night.
to
And in the morning when the sun comes up, the guy gets in his car, goes to work.
I have
Who
to
do you
agree
know?
with Nerdane. Local
Yeah,
first. Local first. You got to
yeah.
take care of your household first. Special Gal chimes in and says Florida has done over 1.5 million. States need to stop relying on the government. I, I,
So
I'm
wait, what? States are the government.
well. I'm kind of
First of all,
taken
we
back.
all rely
I'm
on the
kind of
government.
taken
What
back
you want
by
is a
that.
competent government.
I'm kind of taken back by that because number one, the states are depending on the federal stockpile.
Yeah.
So, Space Gal, if you can elaborate, if you're still there, but that's where I that's where I kind of am on that one. Um, hey, if I even go into it, so I'm gonna read this quick article. According to executives partners at Pfizer, they will be able to provide the U.S. with 200 million COVID-19
Yeah,
vaccines by late May, 2 months
yeah.
earlier
We
than the
need to.
company's original procedures. A change in the vaccine's label now permits 6 doses from each vaccine vial rather than 5, allowing Pfizer to provide an additional 20 million in Q1 of 2021. Today's Pfizer CEO said he doesn't expect coronavirus to go away, blah, 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 blah. And and he predicts everyone will require an annual COVID shot.
You know what? He doesn't expect. First of all, that's news. One, he doesn't expect it to go away, and two, everybody will require a shot, whether you want it. What about? He didn't say whether you want it or not, but what about if you don't want it? Biz, remember we did a pod about 3 years ago. Not 3 years ago. Excuse me. About a year ago, where it was they were talking about 3 months. Just home confinement 3 months. And then we did another one, and I told you that's bullshit. Excuse my language. And then it was another 3 months. And then it was through the summer. And then it was by the fall. And now here we are. And now he's talking about it's never going to go away.
Space Gal, do you want to join us?
People have gotten really comfortable.
We have PPE and needles and alcohol swabs purchased through the state and provided to everyone, $4 million each.
Yeah, but they're purchased through the state with state funds. State funds are taxes. Taxes are gathered up from all of us to grab these. So you need the government to do it. Look, nobody can get the resources and distribute the resources like the government, right? Governments can wash away red tape if they want to. I just think we need a functioning, efficient government, and I don't think we have that. So
okay. Well, if you ever want to chime in or join us in the future, you're more than willing to join us.
Yeah.
She states no, it was not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's see. I will tell you, she said, not with federal money. The pie is big. Give some back. I tell you, it's been great tonight with the comments, and let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Hey, I want to know this much. Did you experience any issues with your internet connection today?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Earlier
I know that it went down a couple of days ago.
Earlier today, there was an outage in Northeast.
Really?
Yeah, a large part of the eastern U.S. experienced an internet outage. Some internet companies made changes to its network without testing them first, and the changes accidentally sent too much traffic through the peering system. The outage reached the tipping point around noon. Companies like Verizon, Comcast got heated complaints, although users realized the outage even affected Google, Zoom, and Slack. By later this afternoon, the issue appeared to be resolved. But we're sure nobody's workday was affected. I think that's a bold-faced lie because I ran into issues earlier.
It happened yesterday, too.
I don't know about yesterday. I just know.
That's weird that there'd be two for two different reasons in the Northeast. Because it shut down Amazon Trading and Facebook and Google Mail. It's interesting.
Khaled says, problem with the government in the U.S. is that too many chiefs, no Indians, if you know what I mean. Yes. Just
That's
too many shot callers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Everybody has to feast them and nobody interrupts anybody's.
Well, everyone wants to be a boss.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be a boss.
Decided to not run for office, and 4 congressmen chimed up before his seat was even warm.
Yeah.
He said he can't be a senator anymore because he just, yeah.
Well,
But I mean,
you talking about Rob Portman?
They just went in advance. They don't really. Yeah, Portman. Was it Portman? Yeah. Yeah. Ohio. Is Portman from Ohio?
Yeah, Rob Portman.
Yeah, I think it was him. So, Ohio congressman. Just, it is what it is. You know, you get these people who aren't really. I'm stuck between saying honest and efficient when it comes to like getting anything done for us, right? So they're either incompetent or they're just sort of dishonest and the typical thing that you think a politician is from watching so many movies. They're never a transcendental figure that can actually make education better and make the the prison system better, and make it easier to get a college education without, you know what I mean? And these are the people that you say you want, and somehow we're just stuck in this loop with these
Well,
senators and representatives. They're
I think
just
I think I
lacking.
think the problem we talked about on many occasions was the fact that no term limits. I can be an elected official for the next 30
Yeah,
years
that's the problem.
as long as I win my election either every 2 years or every 6 years.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Hence
And
why
it's
you have
always
to
like, why would
change.
you send new people to Congress? I guess it is hard to get sent to Congress.
Well,
But everybody's unhappy with the way the place is running, but the guys keep getting elected.
no, the problem is the fact of the matter is for there to be new blood, you have to primary that person that's been in office for
Yeah,
5 years.
yeah. I think the way they've cooked the books is it's harder to get them out of office.
So part of your
Um,
party is already going to be against you because you've
right.
taken out the person that you've
One of their
used to.
buddies.
Right.
Right.
Someone from their
Me and
caucus.
Chuck have been sitting here next to each other for 30 years in Congress, and now I got this new guy that I don't like or girl that I don't like. Right. No, I agree.
And the new guy or girl has the battery in their back and they want to do things the right way and they want to write new laws
and
and, you know,
but they
complete
also
all
want to
the
stay there
things
for
that,
40 years.
right. And then the dark money comes in
Right.
and then you
And they
become
believe
hated.
it. Right. And then before you know it, you've been there for 15 years looking just to stay, taking money from everybody and saying the exact opposite of what you said when you first got there. And you go from being, middle class to like ridiculously wealthy like the rest of them.
Right.
So we'll see. Because everybody bought your book.
Everyone's bought your book. You're
Yeah, I
part of
have many
every.
copies of it myself. So obviously, I've never met anybody who bought anybody's book. Actually, that's not true. I've met a lot of people who bought that Hillary Clinton book. But she wasn't a senator when she wrote it. She was already out of office.
Okay.
But
Was
I
she
think they
already?
bought it
She was
because
already a
of
Secretary of
supporting her.
State.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think anybody,
Be
yeah.
good says the political table is way too big. Terms are way too long. Look
Yep.
at Pelosi and Schumer. Say no more. We are with you. And this is nothing about ageism or anything like that. It's just you're sitting there and you're in office and your
Well,
10-term. Hmm?
you want to, I can make people mad right now. Here's the
No,
thing.
don't.
Joe Biden didn't leave Delaware. Then he took a train the night before. He didn't take Air Force One because I think those steps would have been a problem. So he comes in. He stays at Blair House. I think they drove in from Delaware to Washington. You're not going to see him outside of the White House. You're never going to see him on Air Force One. You might see him be driven around, but he won't ever be in New York or Florida. Definitely not California or Alaska. He's not traveling. Meanwhile, Trump, 2, 3 years younger, running up and down those steps and golfing, right? Say what you want about him, to do with at least mobile and active. And this it's 6 days in. You've only seen him at a desk.
Well, you've seen him actually doing work and not sitting there golfing 300
Normally,
days
the first
of your
week
term.
of president, he goes, gets ice cream, a burger with people. He didn't do any of that. He's just at that desk, standing up and talking to the camera.
But
Watch by July 4th.
but tell me this much: yes or no?
Yeah.
Is it how much difference is? I mean, first of all, you're judging someone on 6 days, but 6 days of working versus 300 days of golfing.
Oh, now you're just making stuff up. I mean, Trump did some stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's why you're mad at him. You don't agree with the stuff he did, but he did some stuff.
But was it 300 days of golfing?
I don't look. That's the thing that does not bother me. Right, the president is a 24-hour gig. golf when you can. I mean, golf every day. When you can do that job from anywhere, you can do it from a golf cart like you can do it from Air Force One. So, I mean, those are some of the things I just kind of think people go on about that. It's just something to go on about.
So I noticed a little bit of hesitation, and you got
We
a
were just
little
talking
tight
about being mobile.
when I said
being president is like being an NFL quarterback. Now you got to be mobile.
But
Like the young white guys are mobile. And just
how
15
much?
years ago,
How much?
they were telling you how he's got no discipline and he can't stay in the pocket. Now everybody wants a mobile quarterback.
How much time
Times
was
change.
spent? How much time was spent for rallies? How much time was spent for golf in the 4-year term? How much? How
Yeah,
much
but
time
now
did
you sound like what the Republicans were saying about Obama. He's always golfing. You know, I mean, people. I'm one of those people who don't care that he golfs, because again, you can do that job from any place, right? It's not like I got to get back to the office. And if
Okay. I see. You don't want to answer that. You don't have to answer it.
I don't have to answer it. All right.
You don't have to answer it because I can see I touched the nerve when I said
okay.
maybe, kind of, sort of.
Well, okay. Give me the question again. I gotta plug this thing in.
No. It was really more on the lines of you said one person won't leave the White House, you know, and I said he's going to be unlike the other person who spent, you know,
all the time golfing. Right, but like I said, I don't think the golfing matters. I really don't. So I don't really know how to answer a question.
So if it was
the golfing matters, like I said, they said the same thing about Obama when he golfed.
If there's 365 days a year and your term is 4 years, and if you spend 300 of those, I don't know, 1,400 days.
But I don't care that he spent 300 days, because again, you can do that job from the golf course. So I don't see why I would be offended. It's not like he's running over the payphones using quarters, right? Everything is secure. You can do it from anywhere. Why does it matter?
I just think a lot of time, too much time for me. I didn't vote for him.
Okay. So
I didn't vote for him either time.
Why do I have to be shamed by?
I'm not shaming you. I'm not shaming you. I just said
I got no answer
for him.
I was like, wait a minute.
I didn't vote for him either time.
Right.
And it's okay. I didn't vote for him. And when he runs again, I'll vote for him. When he runs again, I doubt I'll vote for him. The only thing I was saying was the amount of time spent
on the golf course is ridiculous.
Golfing,
I agree.
Campaigning, because it just seemed like throughout the 4 years he wanted to go do a rally. That's where he was comfortable.
Right, I agree. He's good at talking to people.
You know, so don't give me after 6 days. Oh, he's barely going to leave the front door. Come on, dude. Give him a week. You sound like you could be on a Hannity show.
No, I just think that he's an old guy and he hasn't done anything in the last year mobily. Why would you expect him to do so now? And true to fashion, I'm trying to get this thing to prop up. And true to fashion, he's not going anyplace. I mean, not even outside the place to walk around. You're not going to see a lot of them. And that's a funny thing.
Okay. I'm with you on it. I won't argue with you. No, I won't.
Okay.
I guess the last item is going to talk to you about real early. What's your pick? Who are you picking for the Super Bowl?
Man,
the old guy or the young guy?
The ingenue or the
legend or the soon-to-be legend?
Wow. I would like to see Brady do it again to just solidify this. Wow, with 2 teams, 6-1 and one with another like on his first year with a new team. That'd be amazing to see. Having said that, I'd like to see Mahomes do it, but I hate to be like, oh well, Mahomes got plenty. Like you can just run out and win Super Bowls, get the Super Bowl.
I
Much
mean, he's
less
got
win
plenty
them.
years in front of him, but
Yeah, but you know
it's
what?
not promised.
You could take a bad hit. You could blow a knee out. Right? You're not
Right.
guaranteed tomorrow. Uh,
You can get a concussion. You can
yeah,
get a series of concussions.
yeah. I mean, you could burn bright and fast. This, for all we know, he may start whiffing it, or So the idea that he can come back and just get there, much less win another Super Bowl, is pretty headily arrogant, right? It's got a lot of faith in the guy, but man, it would be nice to see him do. But here's a question: do you want to see Patrick Mahomes become the new Tom Brady and win like 5 and 6 in a 10-year period? That would get boring,
I mean,
right? And then it would be like an incessant conversation of who's better, Brady, or, you know what I mean?
well,
So
I think we hopefully you look at and you see how Kansas City is put together, and you look at the other neighboring teams that
yeah,
are hopefully going to put their roster together similarly, and you hope that there's some level of competition so that you're seeing a
yeah,
different team emerge every other year.
yeah, yeah. Isn't that what the draft is supposed to be? Like to make sure that you
Supposed
get
to be.
a new team every year, new talents and prospects to the bad team, so they up their level, and maybe some of the newer team had to take the lesser talented of the newer. Does that right? They get the bottom draft guys, right?
Right.
Of NFL talent to sort of like make sure that nobody has this ridiculous dynasty. Um, so man, it's funny that you should ask that because I was thinking about that. I was like, who I would like to see Brady do it, but you know, you gotta get this thing while the getting is good. And why wouldn't you want Mahomes to get this thing while the getting is good, right? To be young and in your prime and do great things. We all love that story.
I
But
just
to be the old guy going out with one last hurrah, right?
the gunslinger, the mercenary.
Exactly. I was trying to think of a good baseball movie that has this analogy.
The natural?
But the natural, he, the natural.
The natural.
Yeah, okay. Let's go with the natural, which is a weird story. Anyway, it's almost like a ghost story. Yeah, but he at the end of it, he wins the thing, right?
Yeah, he
He
does.
disappears with the girl. So,
Mhm.
I mean, what is that story where the guy almost does it and then he does it? I was thinking of not Bull Durham. They don't win the thing in Bull Durham, do they?
I don't think so.
I love a good baseball movie. Anyway, I'm losing my train of thought. But yeah, okay. If I had to pick, man, I gotta go Mahomes. He's got to do it. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm a young gunner over the old guard guy. But yeah, let's Mahomes cement his place early and see if he can go and get, what is it, 6 as a record?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I kind of think.
And Tom Brady's coming back next year, right? He's not retiring.
Yeah, supposedly he's coming back next year. I kind of think about 2012, 2013 with Russell Wilson. They won their first Super Bowl. And then that crazy play happened at the end of the game, which, they didn't win.
Right.
And he never got back to the big game.
Right.
And here it is 6 years later or 7 years later.
Right. As he ages, trying to, right. Yeah. No, that's a good example. So, yeah, Mahomes might want to do this now because, like you said, he may not get back there. And
Speed up too. New Orleans should have been in there, but Drew Brees, that arm was shot. I'm sorry. His arm was shot. He shouldn't have been out there.
Man,
and after the game, they mentioned the injuries he was dealing with still. And I'm like, well, then why even have him out there? But I like stories. Brady's a good story, but I like Mahomes
Yeah,
because Brady's got to live. He's had his time to shine. Um,
I mean his whole class. I mean, it's him. It's Drew Brees. It's uh, what's the, what's the name from Green Bay?
you think about Brett Favre?
Rogers, right? I mean,
Well,
all these top quarterbacks, they're all about the same age, right? They didn't all come out the same draft, but they're within like 3 or 4 years of each other.
right. I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, keep your thought.
yeah, yeah. So they're all within like 3 or 4 years of each other. How many new? I mean, other than Patrick Mahomes, who's before him? Who's 2 years ahead or so ahead of him in a draft class? Who's good? Who's well, we don't know who's coming up because no one's got drafted. I don't know. I guess I'm losing my train of thought. Send Brady home. Cowboy fan want to see Case. Yeah, okay. I think go for the Horror. Just a few days after Biden is in office, a new terrorist group from emerged in Iraq. That's interesting. I didn't know that, but yeah, I think Brady has done enough. He's got enough accolades. If he goes, he's not really a loser. He would have won 6 and gotten there 9 times. Is that right? 6. I don't know. Maybe he would have gotten there like 9 times. But yeah, that's about it. Not AU is.
No, it's right. Send Brady home. It's time for him to go home and you know let somebody else win.
Exactly. So he's got 6 rings, right? How many rings? Wait, hold on. How many rings does Brady have? You there?
Yeah, it was glitching a little bit.
No problem. How many rings does Brady have?
How many?
5, right? Is it 5 or 6?
6.
6. How many? And he made 9 appearances, right?
Yeah, this is
To be
going to
his
be
10th
10th.
appearance.
This
So
is going to be
he's
your 10th.
60% for this nonsense. So yeah. I mean, it was interesting to watch him. Let Mahomes like swap the guard out. I don't watch college football.
I don't either.
Oh, really? So I was wondering who is the new hotness coming up, and no one drafts. Does anybody draft a quarterback anymore? Really?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, well, Patrick Mahomes was like golden, but like,
But that's what they draft. They're
who
drafting.
came up? Who came? I mean, other than I'm thinking of what's name who went to the Saints and threw the touchdown, and he was traded. And now Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay.
Jameis Winston.
Winston, right? I remember Winston was hot,
Yeah.
but now he's a backup.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to be the starter there next season. He's going to be the starter in New Orleans next season.
Yeah, but he went from starter to backup, back to starter.
Yeah, because you know what? He threw a lot of touchdowns. He threw a lot of interceptions.
That's what that's my point. That's
Yeah.
my point. Like who the new guys who come and stick with it. I remember what's his name who got his knee blown out. He had success for like 2 years. And then he became a backup. He was with the not the was he with the Chiefs? No, he was with the Redskins. Robert
Alex Smith.
No, wasn't it Smith? I thought it was Robert. No, it was
Robert Griffin III.
Robert Griffin III, right. So he was the hotness out of college. These guys don't seem to linger. So all I know, Mahomes might take a really bad shot to and whether that blows his confidence or ganks his throwing system. He might want to get this while it's hot.
Yeah.
I don't follow gambling, but I wonder what the odds are on this. Because that tells you where people's feelings. Well, does it? No, people don't bet feelings. They bet the money. All right. I wonder who's winning. I wonder who the. It's got to be Mahomes, right? How's it Mahomes if Brady had 6 rings? You see what I mean? This is what I don't understand about gambling. I mean, a 6
Kansas City
favorite, I get it, but he's
Kansas
also
City plus 3.5. I mean, well,
see what
Kansas
I mean?
City favored by 3.5.
Kansas City by 3.5, but Brady has not 6 rings, and he's been
Yeah,
9 times. How is he not the favorite? I really wish
because it's based on teams, not players.
Yeah, but is it the quarterback really? Okay, all right.
Based on teams, not players.
Yeah, okay. All right. No, I totally see that. That makes 100%. Even as I process it, processing that statement makes 100% sense. There's something in the back of my head still saying, well, quarterbacks drive the team, and if the guy who drives your team has gotten there 9 times, how is he not automatically a favorite? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the other 9 times he did it with a different
I
team.
seem to understand the universe, and now you actually, I feel like one of those.
The other 9 times he did it with a different team.
I'm sorry?
The other 9 times he did it with a different team.
Right, but with different players.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
I wish I knew a bookie, because I got a million questions for him. So yeah, so up by 3.
Yeah.
We'll
Hey,
see.
you got any parting shots?
No.
No? You
Nope.
came in here like a house of fire.
Well, I'm aging nicely. My birthday was earlier this week, so I feel
I think I said happy belated.
yeah, you did. Thank you, man.
Yeah. So
You needed a moment. Mahomes.
yeah.
Yep.
You kind of always need a moment and a half here.
No, I feel you. It's a pandemic. It's what happens with meetings from home. You'd be crazy to be surprised by it.
So there's certain things I do want to close out by saying Haps does a great job. Haps is an app that I really enjoy using because there's other competitors out there, but I like what they're doing. It's a huge undertaking is what they're doing, and looking at their infrastructure and everything else like that. It's not going to be perfect in the beginning. It's not going to be perfect, but it's something that they're addressing, and they're being nimble and flexible and making changes on the fly. So I do have to commend them for that. Nothing's going to be perfect. Life isn't perfect. Even after all these years we've been on this planet, I can ask you, my friend, is your life perfect?
Yeah, I finally got rid of my supermodel stalker, so things are working out.
But they do a great job. And we're going to ride this out. But definitely want to thank all the people that joined this session tonight. Way too many people to name. But thank you for the involvement. Thank you for the follows. And we'll be back next week or later this week. Because I think I'll do something football related or sports media related. But with that, we are out.
Peace, people.